All right, guys, we're coming back for the second time. This is the first guest I've ever had where I brought her back second time. I'm super excited to bring on Kathryn Hensley, a St. Lucie, I can't even say it, St. Lucie County school board member, and not just a member. You've got a special position on that board, right?
I have served as chair many times, and I'm currently vice chair.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Thank you so much as somebody in the community. And now I know you a little bit more than some people in the area. There's obviously a lot of people who know you better than me, but knowing how much you pour into the kids is amazing. Every time I hear one of your responses to anything having anything to do with the schools, it's never what's best for the adults, it's always the kids, what's best for the kids. The focus is on the kids. And I think that is such an amazing intent. It really shows where you're coming from.
That's my mission. Children and their future is my sole purpose for being.
So I thought, when I did the video with you last time, I was new to the area. I just gotten in. I was maybe here for 3-4 months. And I thought, what, I'm going to get Kathryn on and I'll just genuinely ask her some questions that I, as a dad, I've got a little 7-year-old, little 4-year-old, questions that I have as a parent. And the responses that you gave me really showed me that some of the, I'll say it, I don't know if you can say it, but misunderstanding between Martin schools and St. Lucie schools, that misunderstanding was exactly that. It was a misunderstanding. And the direction that the St. Lucie schools are going in is amazing. And to hear the statistics that you shared with me and the future that you were looking at and the changes and the actual numbers, it was so impressive. And I was just telling you right before we get on that I have shared that video with probably 50 moms out of state thinking about moving here. And they decided, you know what? Maybe we don't need to go with all the rumors. We need to go with the statistics. We need to go with what Kathryn shared. And they decided to move to Port St. Lucie. And I just want to thank you for that. That is, I mean, obviously that helps me as a businessman, but it helps so many parents make good school decisions for their kids. So thank you.
That makes me very, very pleased to hear that, because I personally like new people coming to town. And I like the mix that we have and the experiences they bring, that everything that comes here brings something that enriches us all.
100%. And I love that view that you've got. So looking at, I mean, one of the biggest challenges we've got now, and I can tell you too, even in our household, is the kids are about ready to go back to school. And now this is my probably not fully educated perspective. At first it's, hey, we're not going to send them to school. Then it's, hey, we are going to send them to school, but we got 3 different options. And then it's, we're going to wait 2 weeks. And so there's a lot of confusion, understandably so, right? There's a lot going on. So you want to make a decision, you want to be decisive, but you also want to make the right decision. So I understand it.
Correct.
What do you see the next, let's say 4 or 5 weeks looking like when it comes to St. Lucie schools?
Well, right now it's very exciting. And we have ordered $5.5 million worth of new laptops so that every child that is doing the live streaming will actually have their own device, not one per household, but one per student. We have redone all of the schools inside, what the classrooms look like, changed out ventilation systems, ordered equipment that is CDC approved and EPA approved for deep cleaning, changed the way we are doing bus transportation, changed the way we're doing our delivery, team meetings. And so it is, we've been meeting a lot. School board's been meeting a lot. I talk to the superintendent every day.
I bet.
And so it has been a moving target. It's been a moving target because I have a call every Friday with the state, people from the state and Department of Education and stuff, and their target has been moving. Some of that has to do with the science that's coming forward. A lot of this has to do with some political posturing, I think. So we were given a mandate that we had to open our buildings. We were concerned about parents having the opportunity to make the right choice. So that's where we put together the live streaming, the Mosaic, which we already had, is a digital academy, it's multi-county, as well as students coming back to the classroom. As of yesterday, we have about 58% of our students are coming back to brick and mortar.
Wow.
The good part of that is that gives us the opportunity to do much more spreading out, shall we say.
Yeah.
And more opportunity to do the social distancing and all that. So we were given a mandate to open the buildings. We tried to do what we thought was the best thing by meeting what the state told us we had to do by rule. But also make sure that we had things in place to protect our kids and our faculty. So we have a very large document of best practices and scenarios, always preparing for the worst case scenario and really, really hoping and praying for the best case.
That's pretty comprehensive. So when you look at these three options that I read, is that something that only St. Lucie County is doing, or is that statewide?
Every county is doing some things differently. I had a conference today with 11 counties, just a little while ago, as a matter of fact. So everybody's doing somewhat different because their circumstances are different.
Yeah.
Broward and Miami Dade are hotspots, and now Monroe County has become a hotspot. So they have some things that they're going to be able to do under the state mandate that we would not be able to do. So we're trying to share best practices, but it is a moving target because things change almost every single day. But we think that by the live streaming, so the kids will be in a classroom. They'll just be at home, but they'll see their teacher and all their classmates on the screen. That's probably going to work out of people. But for some of our neediest students, we have kids who really need to be the structure of being in a classroom. We have students that I'm chair of the circuits foster care board. And so we have a concern about potential abuse and neglect and that sort of thing. So gearing up, all of our agencies are gearing up for trauma-informed care for our kids if they come back to us. We also have people that are going to be hitting the streets for the kids that are at home to make sure they are safe at home. Working with after-school programs to see if we working with after-school programs to see if we can come up with some unique opportunities for supervision. So it's ongoing discussion. We're not finished yet, but we are, I think, probably ahead of the curve from counties. I got to share things today that they hadn't thought about. But for me, it's always focusing what is the best thing for that individual child. And I am not the expert on every individual child, but I have to make sure that I do what I can to make sure that what that individual child needs is there. Yeah.
Man, I tell you, as a parent, you are answering a lot of the questions that my wife and I have late at night after we put the kids down and we're talking about all this. It's pretty impressive you guys have thought about all this stuff. Looking at that, if I remember correctly, you said it was a little over $50 million that they had for the laptops. Is that correct? Or tablets?
$5.5 million.
Well, $5.5 million. Is that funding? Is that county funding? Is that state funding? Where does that come from?
Well, it is right now. It's should be federal funding. We are doing it. Ordered that they started to arrive yesterday, and hope to get reimbursed to some degree. That was another conversation, but it's something we had to do. So we have a mechanism. We already had something in place when we had to pivot in March to buy some equipment. We have a mechanism to be able to maximize that. Our tech guy works with Microsoft on the national level on their advisory board. So he is able to do some things that maybe other counties can't. So it's the right thing to do. It may take our fund balance down below what it recommends, and then we'll hopefully retrieve that money to put back in the pot.
That's amazing. And this is the time I don't want people who are new in that position. I mean, sometimes if you don't know what the school board is, if you don't know what the school board does, if you don't know what the job entails, you might think, I like Betty a little bit more. I like Kathryn a little bit more. But in a situation like this, these are the situations we don't really think of, right? This is a once in a lifetime situation. I want Kathryn Hensley on the school board. You know what you're doing. You've done it. You sound 17 times smarter than I would be in that position. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So that's certainly comforting. And so looking at how
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. So looking at how comprehensive the plan is that you guys have, one thing my wife and I were talking about is what's going to happen when our little girl goes to school. She's in a 20, 30 person class. and one person is exposed, are they going to shut down the whole class for 14 days, the whole school? What's that going to look like?
Okay, we have a variety of protocols. None of the classes will be that large.
Okay.
The classes will probably be more like 12. Okay, they'll be much smaller because we'll have fewer kids there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be dividing them up differently. We have the regular clinic. We will have an isolation clinic, and we will have what we have already do some intubation for kids that have asthma stuff. So that's going to be, they'll all be separated. So if we have a child who gets sick during the day, they'll be sent to the isolation room. There'll be a nurse there to kind of do the triage, what the issue is, talk to the parents to see if they've been exposed to anything. If the child turns out to be positive, then the classroom can be closed down, and those kids be sent immediately to the live streaming with their teacher. If we know that children get sick all the time, so we have to be very cautious not to close something down if the kid has the sniffles or whatever. So, but doing some of that backtracking is very important. And then we have ways that we can close down a classroom, close down a wing, close down a whole school if we have to. Alternate ways to serve our kids if there's something in the cafeteria. The scenarios are very specific. If this happens, this is the protocol. If this happens, this is that protocol. And it's pretty interesting to have those dialogues. When we went through the hurricanes in 2004, we put a lot of things in place for emergency services. So we kind of use that as our basis of buildings. What's the next step? And now we have policies and procedures that I think today will be up to 100 pages.
That's it?
So if somebody comes up with a scenario, okay, if that's the scenario, then we have to think this through about what are the repercussions. And so one of the concerns for a lot of people in our community was sending kids back to school. But another group of people were very concerned. A lot of teachers were very concerned about the mental well-being of their kids. And so that's something we have to address also. But as a community, we've been very focused on helping our kids. And I think that as a community, we'll be able to be there for them wherever they end up being at the end of the year, after 9 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, it's a heck of a challenge. I mean, my sister she's in Arizona, but they've got even more restrictive schooling systems going on over there. And she's a single mother. She's a single mother. She's got a little girl who's in, I want to say she's going into kindergarten. So she's got to choose between, do I want to educate my kid or do I want to feed my kid? And she can't probably, I haven't gotten into her finances, but I'm assuming that financing anybody to sit there with her, like that's a challenge. There's just, there are a lot of challenges. And I think all of us are really frustrated right now. But what I like about you is, while a lot of us are so intent, so focused on blaming this person or that entity, like you don't have control over this. Like it just is what it is, right? It's happening and you just got to be forward moving. So seeing someone like you with positive forward thinking drive is just, it is so refreshing to hear that someone is just focused on solutions and just not worried about the problem. Let's just think about ways out of this. So I know I'm buttering your biscuits here, but I'm a Kathryn lover, man. I think you're just phenomenal. It's true. You're a worker.
I'm a hugger. So this whole thing is, what bothers me the most is that I tend to hug almost everybody I see. And that, of course, has had to stop. So I've actually had a couple people stop by and say, I have to have a hug. I need a hug. So once in a while, I'll break the rules, but not very often. We have a group of people that work in the school district that are so committed to their mission, to their children. And we have teachers who are innovative and been sending in some suggestions and some scenarios that have been very helpful for us to be able to address. I haven't been in the classroom for a long time. I've been in the classroom. I have been standing as a teacher in a classroom for a very long time. And so many things have changed. It's nice to have those teachers who feel that it's okay to disagree or feel it's okay to give you an idea. I had some information from a retired epidemiologist that wanted to know things and gave some ideas, which were very helpful. So it's challenging, but critical thinking is the only way we can go forward to make sure our kids are safe.
Yeah. So this might be a tough question with all the things that we've got going on. I mean, there's some big challenges there, but what do you foresee, like COVID aside, what do you see 3 years, 5 years down the road right now for St. Lucie schools? What's going to be different?
We are basically an A school district in the state, regardless of 75% of our kids on free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
So we are writing best practices to share across the state and beyond that. The conventional wisdom says that your kids are not going to be successful if they're poor, if they're this, or if they're that, or whatever. I never bought that. So we make sure that that doesn't happen. And going forward, I think what we will see is that it's going to be easier to maintain that 96% graduation rate, maybe bring it up higher. And within our community, what I really hope to see, and we will see actually, are significantly more pathways into careers and professions that are here at home. And with the Economic Development, Chamber of Commerce, all those people working together, we have an opportunity to take our kids and change their lives and change the poverty demographics of St. Lucie County, give them a great pathway into a career. And that's what I want to see. And I think we will see that. Along with that, with all the building that's going on, some people find it very disturbing. I find it fairly exciting. We have to make sure that we are ready to accept the kids when they come to us. That means we have to be a little more creative about how we do our construction, what partners we bring to the table, how we focus our career academies, all those type of things. And of course, I have a lot of ideas, but I'm only one of 5. So I do think we will see that along with the growth, we will have growth in high-tech academies, growth in our kids coming out with a certificate to go right into the workplace. And also along with that, Vice Chair of the Cultural Alliance for the county. And that's going to be part of the school system's focus also, as those kids with the variety of arts, culinary arts, drawing, whatever it is, being infused into the community to enhance their own quality of life and our quality of life. Yeah. And that's a plan that's been put in place right now.
I love that. So what relationship, if any, does the schools have with the local colleges here? How do you help the high school kids connect with them?
Yeah, we do a lot of dual enrollment. That's good, but we also try to do some things that are a little bit beyond just the usual dual enrollment, especially when it comes to career academies and the trades, something more unique than just the academic dual enrollment. And so what we've been able to do is maximize some of those opportunities by being the state college meet its matrix while we're helping our kids get something very unique. We also work with Kaiser. We work with FAU. We have a school at Harbor Branch. So we're working with all those post-secondary entities, as well as USDA, University of Florida. And so we're building this cadre of opportunities for our kids to be able to take advantage of things that are right here. They just need to be upticked just a little bit. And so we're going to do that.
I love that. So, hey, we're rolling into a very unique, different election cycle here. And I'm not talking about the presidential election. What do we got coming up here in a couple of weeks? Tell me about the election, the dates. Where do I go? How do I do it?
Well, the actual election is August 18th. The mail-in ballots are out. The early voting will be coming up very shortly. We anticipate there's over 50,000 requests for mail-in ballots at this time. It's a very different election because the usual things, the usual meet and greets and the coffees and going up the door to doors and talking to people cannot happen. And so for me, it's very uncomfortable because, as you know, I prefer to go up and talk to a bunch of people. Yep. But with Zoom and GoToMeeting and Teams and all these type of things, I've really been able to, in great measure, talk to people that I really wanted to talk to. So that's been kind of exciting. And so it's just very different. And hopeful that I am reelected because I'm not finished with my list yet of
Yes.
things to accomplish for our kids.
Yes.
But it is, you know, I like to do my job. I don't like elections. I prefer to just do what I do. But it has given me an opportunity to talk to some people that I may not have come across before, because I would tag in with one group and they would have other people tag in. So that's been a positive thing. The more people I can talk, hear what they have to say, hear their opinion, have their ideas, see where they're really focused, is very helpful for me as I try to make decisions for, as a one of five. But on some boards, I have a little bit more authority than that, I guess you'd say. The Children's Services Council, I've been the chair for 20 years. And during a crisis, there is in charge of the finances. Now that's pretty frightening. So
Yeah.
that has been a very cautious undertaking to make sure that what we are doing to help agencies stay in place to take care of our kids, that is thought through very carefully with as much input as possible. So there's been negatives, but there has also been some positives, because I've got to see some people that I will plan on giving a hug to eventually.
That's amazing. Well, Kathryn, I can't tell you thank you enough. I appreciate it. I'd love to have you on 15 more times. Every time you come in, you bring so much value. I can't say enough great things about you. I think you know where my vote's going, but I wish you the absolute best. I'm excited to see how it goes afterwards. I'll call and congratulate you personally because I'm excited for you. But hey, guys, also, if you go up and you look in the comments, you can see her website. You can see where to donate. You can see where she's at on Facebook. Go follow her. Ask her questions if you got it. She is a wealth of knowledge, and she is a giver. I'll tell you from experience, she's a giver. So, Kathryn, with all that said, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a delight.
All right. Take care, my friend.